Okay. Kelvin, I can't help think about when you say antibody, does that mean that it's an antibody towards yourself, or is it more an antibody towards COVID-19?
COVID-19, and I went and had the test to see if I did. So
okay, and you didn't.
I did. I had COVID-19 earlier on in the year. So yeah.
Okay. So well, great to see you, and hope that you feel good anyway.
Awesome.
Great. We will jump directly into it. Kelvin, when did you start the Crown Pub?
We started the Crown Pub as soon as COVID-19 made an impact on our business in the UK. Mm-hmm. It pretty much was a case of, where do we go and what do we do? And how can we help other people? There was a genuine rationale behind it. Mm-hmm. As soon as COVID-19 hit, it was one of the many ideas, and we had hundreds of ideas.
Yes, you have.
They weren't all great ideas, but this was one of them, yeah.
And so when you said that the COVID-19 hit and you started to do something, was that because you were afraid of the impact it could have on Vpress, or was it more? Why was that the natural step for you to do?
I think it was just beyond that. What happened was, as a business, it impacted us almost immediately in the UK, and everyone stopped ordering. The thing about having a good web-to-print product is it's a good business to be in until everybody just stops ordering in one go. And for the first time in 20 plus years, that's what happened. So we sat down, we came up with a bunch of ideas, and we had three things that we wanted to preserve. We didn't want to lose anybody at Vpress because we've got a great team of great people. Mm-hmm. We didn't want to lose any customers because we love our customers, and our motto is partnering our customers to success. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do something to help, and I don't know if you remember, and I don't know what it was like in Denmark, in other countries, but people who wanted to do something but didn't actually know what to do.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, everything was like, precisely as you mentioned. So what can you do when you have a pandemic, and especially a size of a pandemic that has no predecessors for how to? I mean, we have the Spanish flu, but that is before your and my time anyway, or our time. So I was just thinking that maybe that was great. The reason why I was asking a little bit about this in respect to time is because I can't remember when I started to know about it and when I joined. I remember Deborah Korn, she mentioned Crown Pub, and I was like, I don't have time to go for a pub, and in the pandemic time, what the fuck is she talking about, right? To be honest. And then when I got in there, I got quite intrigued because I think that there's very nice people there. I think it's very interesting topics that you have brought up, but I can't help think about that. At least from when I started joining on a relatively regular basis, I have never really seen this as a marketing opportunity for Vpress. So when you say that you had to react because the sales declined immediately after the lockdown and the pandemic started, how does that collate?
I knew that question would come up, and I've been asked it before. So the thing is, as a sales director, there's nothing more I can do. There's nothing I can do. People aren't going to buy a web-to-print system, or very few people are going to buy a web-to-print system when they're faced with a pandemic of the proportion that we've had. But what I can do is I can keep in touch with people. So it's not a direct marketing, and it's not being set up in order to sell web-to-print systems. I mean, we all know Vpress has got the best web-to-print system in the market. I mean, that's a given, isn't it? But there's a bit of a plug there.
Just because you work with Microsoft, Printviz, and Kodak, or just in general?
We work with everybody. We work with everybody. We will work with everybody. We're an open house. But what we did, we really do value the relationships with our customers. This time of year, and Tim, my colleague, was on before. We're normally out all the time in the pub, taking customers for drinks. That's a bit of the sales job I don't really moan about, to be honest. But my job pretty much dried up. I had to work out a way I could stay in touch with the people that I know now. Mm-hmm. I keep engaged with the people I want to for the future, but also take something away positive from this. Mm-hmm. When you're faced with something of the proportion of a pandemic that comes across, you've got to think a little bit differently. And Vpress will sell. If people want a web-to-print system, they'll buy a web-to-print system. The pub's not about that. It's about the fact that one of the things that I and my colleague Milo love so much about the print industry is we've got a community. You know Deborah Cohn, I know Deborah Cohn, and a lot of the people we know already. And it was just a case of bringing those together in a platform, one of many platforms.
Yeah. And so that is perfect. So you did this because you basically could have an audience where you could communicate with them, and at some point some might be interested in a web to print solution, and at some point maybe not. But you have gathered a very loyal audience, even though I think there's a lot of repetitive, like myself and Robert Godwin and Elizabeth and the people that we know, both of us. But you have also been able to reach out to people that may not be the typical web to print customers, or print buyers and other people influencing in the industry, and that must be quite interesting to build a brand around a knowledge base.
Yeah, so there's two. I read two questions in there. So one, we've reached out to 6 continents. We've got 770 followers, and we've had over 1,600 people hit the pub over 52 episodes. So if that's a metric, then that is a level of success. So I'm just going to turn the sun down a little bit here. It's sunny in West London this afternoon. But the thing is, it's there's lots of things I want to know more about. I want to know more about inkjet because I love the print industry. So Mark Stevenson comes on, and he and Gene Lloyd, and they're telling us more about the inkjet. I want to know more about Lander. So we get Lander and Mark, and he tells us about Lander. So we don't need to talk about web to print. Web to print is web to print, and I'll talk about that all day for the rest of the week. But for the pub, it's a case of we want to know what's influencing young people, and what do they remember about print. I didn't know. I've never had an iPhone, but I didn't know the iPhone case was an iconic print job.
Yeah.
If you can take something away from what you're doing, we're always learning all the time. If we can take something away, I'll use that in a future presentation. I've learned so much by doing the pub, and I'm just the guy who does crowd control. I'm the one who's asking the questions.
If you look at the time before COVID and this unfortunate time, Vpress, when you normally participate in the market, do you participate in trade shows yourself, or?
Yeah, so trade shows, open houses. Our success factor is networking. Yeah. We've always been, Tim, who was on before, myself, Craig, we've always really worked well at networking at what we do. People buy from people. We could have a great advert, we could have a great website, we could have a great demo, but at the end of the day, people want to look you in the eyes and say, we want to buy from you. And I sell. The reason why I do well on sales is because people can always ring me up and let me know if something's working or not working, or they need help. And that's always been paramount within the core of what Vpress does.
The reason I'm asking is because the sessions we have today and tomorrow is obviously because 2020 has been or is still a very strange situation with changes in the market that we can't control because of a small virus. And we got this idea because I can't help thinking about it. And since you're in sales, you may actually recognize what I'm saying, because when you sell something, it's always about fulfilling a need from somebody, right? And if you sell a trade show, it's because you fulfill a need for a exhibition kind of thing, right? But what is your opinion? Because I think that the past 10 months have changed that perspective a lot, because there might not be an apparent need for some of the things that we found needful before.
Yeah. Well, you could say that right throughout the print industry, couldn't you? If a print shop's working with 20 people and they've been working with 15 people, you could bring that base theory in any level of any business. Within trade shows, I don't know. I think trade shows had to change. The fact that so much money was geared around Drupal or an IPEX, it costs so much money to put that on as an exhibitor. And if you felt let down, which we've been let down a few times on trade shows, then that's obviously going to be an issue. I think the way we do business has changed. I think the pub is online. It's don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. It's not a solution.
But it's good because it's not a solution.
Yeah, it is. It is only ever temporary. We may turn it into a podcast. We may do something with it. There's even been ideas of maybe doing something with you with it. We'll keep it going as long as it's needed. But I think everything that we do in the workplace has to change. I'm normally out meeting people and turning up to print shops and and engaging with people, and I get a better reading of what people want in order to require help and so forth. But online, my job's a lot harder, but we're still making sales. People are still coming to us. And if we don't know about a particular subject, we can bring it up in the pub and we can discuss it. And you know yourself, we've talked pretty much about everything, about the trade press, trade shows. We helped out a few of the online conferences, although I think we're all a bit warped from a lot of the online seminars that have gone on. I know I am. But, you know, it's we'll keep doing it as long as it's needed. So.
Andreas, you said to me, I thought actually you have been on the Crown Pub many times before I invited you to get there. But what was your impression and your takeaway from because I mean you have by most people, especially in the DACH region, of course, very known for your social media activities and your strong opinions and all these kind of things, which I find good. But if you look at your perspective of Crown Pub, that is not, as Kelvin says, it's not a very polished format, so to speak. It's not a polished kind of event compared to, for example, Xerox and Canon and some of the bigger events. So how do you see that in a communications perspective?
So first of all, I like that approach, that it's so down to earth. It's made for the community, done by a member of the community. You know, it's not something like up to the sky. So it's really down to earth. It's quite casual, and it's exactly this form of conversations we would have if we had a nice Drupa day, and afterwards we go to Drupa Altstadt for a beer. And I love that. I love that approach, and I also have the feeling that it's quite a good mix of the audience. So you have not only print experts, you had also journalists. So it's a very, very good mix, and it's much better than the group is much better like anybody of us could create on our own. So, and it's a good community approach. The conversations are always interesting. It's casual. It's not that academic, yeah, and it's quite unique. So.
That's good. Kelvin, I can't help think about if the name wasn't Crown Pub, but Vpress Community. Would it have been successful then?
I don't know. I can't. I don't know. The idea early on was the Crown is obviously a play on Corona, obviously, but
yeah.
The idea was just come up with a solution. We didn't know if it was going to work. And Andreas, we're not professionals. You know, we're not like you guys with all the kit. Milo and I actually just made this up. We just came up with the idea and ran with it. And I hadn't even used Zoom before, so you know, it was all pretty new. And the idea is that's exactly what it's meant to be. It's meant to be us sitting in the pub. When this is all over, we'll be in the pub. I'll buy you a drink. I'll even buy you one, Morton. We'll sit there, we'll stand there, we'll have a beer, and we'll have a laugh about what we did during COVID-19. But it is a community, and you know, Vpress is Vpress. We're doing well. We're great. We've got a good product. I talk about that all day, every day. I don't have to talk about it in the pub. People know where I'm from and they know what I do. And you're right, we get a range of different people. We get print buyers, we get printers, journalists. You know, people dip in one week, don't come back in the next week. People ring me up now saying, "Are you back in the pub?" We've opened up a channel in South Africa. Jean, she's now reselling Vpress. We've got another one. This is all not with a targeted aim. These are things on the side. We're looking in Bahrain. So with John Robin and maybe doing something with him. You know, and we've now extended our network. That's what we've done. We're not going to talk about web to print. We're going to meet and say, "How are you? You know, is there anything we can do to help?"
So I think that your success is based on both you as people and also the fact that it is a format that is easygoing, so to speak, right? But I also think that you have a unique position, because if your competitors in the market, or even somebody else in the industry, were doing a similar thing, it would probably not be as successful, because there's not, as we have been talking about before you came on board here, the market for these virtual events is by all measures a bit saturated, because so many and so frequently, and I think that is also the one of the difficulties is the quality of content. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying that sometimes people want. I got a very good. Deborah said to me, I had a meeting with her last Sunday, and she said to me, don't be so sorry that not more participants in your smart factory thing, because she said basically you should remember, first of all, it's a quite hard subject. Secondly, the thing is that sometimes your marketing is maybe not good enough, because people have to exchange time for spending time with you guys, right?
Yeah.
Or with anything. And I think that is exactly what you do, is that it's you can sit and listen. You can just be passive participant at your pub. And sometimes if you are into a very dense learning about something really difficult, then you have to think about, okay, can I spend 5 hours on this, or can't I spend 5 hours? And of course people can't. Most of the time people are fortunately working, right? So I think that the format and the kind of exclusivity that you have built has given Vpress a fantastic position in the market. And that leads me to the question I'm going to ask. I know it was a long conversation, sorry. But I'm a bit curious, because you say that as long as there's a need, and as long as people will attend, Crown Pub will continue to operate. But when you are on the physical pubs again, and when you do your travel that you do normally, and you and your team is doing business as normal, would you then have time for this, or will this then be a priority?
That's a great question. There's something else you mentioned there as well I just want to address first. So if anybody else, I mean, some of our competitors have been the pub. If you want to come out, they are more than welcome.
Yeah,
Chili's been, AFI's been. I love that. I love that crossing swords. And the thing is, I will openly send an invite out to every, come down, join us. I won't be too harsh, I promise you. But in addressing your question, when we're traveling, what have we learned from this? I never realized I could do 8 1-hour sessions in a day to 8 different companies about 8 different web to print problems. I can do that now. I didn't think I could do that. Mm-hmm. So it's about time management. At the moment, board meetings are sacrosanct. I don't, we touch them. Obviously, occasionally you have a little mishap and you're late for an important appointment.
Should happen.
I just so apologize. But
Say along was 1 hour ahead of you. So because apparently the webinar jam doesn't really give you the accurate timings.
I went through it this morning, but we'll make time. And the thing is, we've got a good buddy system at Vpress. We're very, very close. We're very flat. If it's not me, it'll be Milo. If it's not Milo, it'll be Neil. We help each other out. And when we've had large numbers, you've actually had Milo asking the questions, who's our marketing manager, great guy. You've got me doing crowd control, because I know most of the people, and some people have to be encouraged not to speak as long as they sometimes do. And you know exactly the kind of person to talk about. And then, we've got questions coming through on the chat, which Neil can manage. So we've got a great team and we can do it. But more than anything, we enjoy doing it. I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy meeting and talking to Andreas. And I really hope that we all do meet in a real pub. And if it's called the Crown, great. But if not, it doesn't matter. And the beers can be on me. I will buy the beers. There's no problem. But for now, the pub does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a community. And that's what we tried it to be.
And but that still doesn't. Yeah, of course, it answered the question, because my question was whether this, if it has an ROI in relation to branding and marketing compared to the after COVID-19 time, right? And I take that you say that this has become an important part of your communication, and as long as people will attend, even though you're not talking products, it's about creating relationships, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And I think I initially, through lockdown 1 here in the UK, I thought it would end at I never dreamed it would go on for a year. People said, but I was one of those optimists who just thought it would be over and we'd be back having a picnic with tea and crumpets on the green, and it'll all be over by summer. Of course, we've gone into lockdown 2, and we're facing lockdown 3 after Christmas. So, the pub will continue. Its format may change. The people running it may change, but we enjoy doing it. I like having a chat and talking. I'm a bit of a talkative guy coming from the north of England, but it's fun. We enjoy doing it. I'm looking forward to our Christmas party on Thursday.
Yeah, on Thursday, yeah.
So I've got my bottle of wine ready. So it'll continue.
Maybe I can add something, because you know, it's interesting for me to see that it's probably more easy if you create on a virtual way this kind of connectivity and networking. To downsize it to the real life is much more easy, because if we can meet again, I would love to come to London and to join you in a real pub, and then we broadcast it, you know. The other way around is when you sit in your real pub and you have no webcam and you are not virtual, you cannot reach anybody beside the audience in that pub. And with that virtual approach, it's totally different. And I think this has a good future, because it's not the way you execute, it's the approach you have. And this approach I really admire. And it's fascinating for me, because my complaint for years is always that inside the printing community, we have so many interesting stories to tell, and we don't talk about it. We only talk about feature fucking DPI dots per inch and blah 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 blah. But that are technology insights. And
that is a great. Yeah. That's a great idea you and I have just had. Let's do it in a pub.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. But you're right. And the thing is, what's important about the print industry, it's not how many what the DPI is. It's not color management. Not my favorite subject, color management. It's not what the latest piece of kit is that's going to be outdated in 6 to 12 months. The most important thing in the print industry, about the print industry, is the community we have. And the fact that wherever we go, and you've been to a few different trade shows, I've been to trade shows in Australia, Japan, and America. Printers are the printers. They're the same guys. They're the same guys. They talk with funny accents, but you know, they're the same guys. They dress the same, they approach the same. They'd rather buy a box, a piece of software that will change their lives and give them a happy relationship with their wife. They're just the same guys the world over. And it's the community of people that work in there. And we've almost got a subcategory of people who work off that industry, you know, the machine suppliers, the software providers, the journalists, the service providers, and the substrate providers, you know, and we all know each other. We move from different jobs and we go around, but we all know each other. We all talk to each other, but we help each other as well. One of the things that has come from the pub that I didn't expect is I get a call and say, well, I've got a friend in Germany who's trying to do this. Is there any way you can do this? Actually, yeah, I absolutely can. I can do that, and I'll speak to him, and who knows what might happen from it. Because that's the network, the power of the network. The network goes far beyond the old sales process of going around and flirting with customers, and that's never been something I've been able to do, you know, with this. But, you know, what we can do with a network, with a strong network, we know the people, and you're the go-to person. I'm openly rubbish at everything. I'm really good at web to print. But, you know, if I want to know about video, I'm going to come to you, Morten. You know,
apparently not on time, but that's okay. I will be waiting for you anyway, Kelvin.
I brought 2 bottles of beer, Kelvin.
Oh,
one is from Belgium with a lot of alcohol. This one is from Germany, 0 alcohol, alcohol-free. So you have the choice.
The last one, Andreas, you just throw it away.
Yeah,
makes no sense. No, question here, because we have Thayer Long from AP Tech in 15 minutes, and I just want to, because when I wrote to you, and I also wrote the short thing for the topic, I was thinking whether this is just very smart marketing, and I think that it's what I like about the people that I met from Vpress is that you're very genuine with everything. So I think that it comes from a genuine interest in the industry, and then it just happens to work as a marketing thing as well. I don't think it's been positioned as a marketing thing in that perspective. However, I can't help think about, because you know, it may not be very expensive to do, but there is cost involved in it. There's people involved in it. There's software involved in it. There's the planning, and I mean, you spent some time in making sure that it has a value to the audience, of course. And you have been so non-marketing in this perspective. So I'm just wondering, can you, from a company perspective, justify having that altruistic approach to the Crown Pub?
Absolutely. So the thing is, so what I've just picked up is that really we weren't clever enough to use it as a marketing exercise. And you're right, we weren't strategic enough. And but it isn't a marketing exercise. It was more of a community exercise. Vpress paid for it. Yeah, we've invested some money into it. It's time as well. And what we've done, the thing about Vpress is we all have something that we like doing for the industry. We want to do, I'm not out there networking with people, but that is my networking. So it's coming from my budget.
Yeah.
So can we afford it? Yes. Does it worry us? No. Yeah. We're going to continue it. Yeah. For now, as long as we do it. So.
The reason I'm asking is basically because if we started just before, as I said to you, when we talk about needs, if there's a need for something, I mean, if people need a web-to-print solution, they go to you. If they need to participate in a virtual crown pop, they go to you. And I'm just wondering, because if you look at the trade shows that have been cancelled, and also the dramatic changes in a lot of different ways in communication during the pandemic, I'm just wondering, do you think the need will return to the good old times, or is this a game changer where other companies should also consider the network approach rather than going to? If you look at the trade show, it's relatively passive, right? You get on a booth and then people passes by, and sometimes they give you a business card, right?
Yeah, it's so a lot of things with the trade shows. If you didn't attend a trade show, more was said about you than if you did attend a trade show. What's happened to them, and so forth. And do you get the value from trade shows? I actually don't think you ever do. We were just talking about it this morning. Do people actually rock up to a trade show and say, "Oh, I'm having that press," and then someone puts a sticker on it? We all know that's fake. It's kind of like not really what happens. I think COVID-19 has been a game changer for everything about the way that we do business. It's changed the way that we do business. It's changed the way that we approach our customers, our prospects, our partners. I don't think we'll be going down the road of trade shows. I think there's been a virtual one recently. I'm not sure if anyone went. I had no desire to go to a virtual. Imagine just sitting there online. I'd be late for that as well. Sitting there online, waiting for people to log on. I just cringe. But I think there's a human need for us to get back. I want to meet you guys in a pub and share those beers. I want to physically. I'm exactly what you see on the tin. Failings, positives and negatives. That is exactly how I am. But the thing is, as a sales guy, I crave talking to people. This is great, and I'm not going to belittle it in any way. But actually, meeting you in a bar, at a trade show, on a stand, the humour coming out, working out the personalities. The people that are coming to the pub, Warren, I mean, he's just hilarious. It's just. I can't wait to be in a bar, meet up with those guys, have a beer with them, and have a really good laugh. And if you enjoy what you are doing, it's so much easier. Right?
So basically, your suggestion to Drupal is basically they should move Altstadt inside Drupal instead.
I mean, it's not. That would be a winner. That would be a winner. I actually, there's so many things that I think could improve Drupal on. I think Drupal was great in the 70s and 80s. I'm sure it was fantastic in the 90s. But my God, there's so much that could change it. When you go there, it's a little bit painful. And my eyes were opened up because I went to Hunkler, the last Hunkler, and that was the first one. And they've got it. That is really clever, the way that they do it. And the thing is now, it's not about walking up and down the aisles to get your steps in and trying to look at people you're interested in, not look at people. Because at a trade show, everybody comes at once and then no one's there for ages, and the time and the expense. There's a way of doing things a different way. And, I think the people who organise Drupal could just do a really good job on the back of this. I don't think they will. I don't think they'll listen, but I think they could.
That is exactly when Andreas and we wrote a series of articles about Drupal. We didn't actually write so much about this show itself. We wrote more about the things that goes around it and the obstacles that you just say. And I think that it goes for all trade shows that if they don't develop new formats that fits also the networking thing and also fits the virtual is here to stay under all circumstances. I think that reinvention of how we do things needs to be developed, and I'm not sure that somebody who owns a lot of square meters somewhere can do that.
No, but the key word there is reinvention. I don't think it's going to be everything's going to change completely, but human desire to engage with one another once again, that's going to demand a reinvention of how we used to do it.
Perfect. Kelvin Bell, Vpress, thank you very much for your time. And for the replays, we will take out the 17 minutes you were not here, so people don't have to wait for that. Don't worry. So they get the dense version of Kelvin Bell, which is fantastic, I think.
I'm so sorry. I got a call. I got a call from one of my customers and said, you should be on this call. And I was like, the panic on my face was just, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry. Thank you very much. And I plan to participate in the Crown Pop on Thursday to have a Christmas party with you guys. So I will see you there.
Put that comedy beard you have sometimes on. Why a comedy beard?
Me too.
Sorry, what?
The comedy, when you have a bit of a beard, you've normally got a bit of a beard going on for Santa. So. Hope to see you on Thursday. Andre, good to see you. All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We as an industry have a challenge convincing the print service providers and the industry to back to the trade shows.
I think this is our absolute responsibility to show the universe of print, different business models, how to properly partner and take the win-wins of every partnership. And this is, I think, a big tendency observed not only on the visitor side, but as well on the supplier side.
It's really a one-roof approach to a print expo or printing expo. Trying to put all technology together and all segments of